Now, to get a better understanding of these potential new developments, joining me in the studio is Murat Yetkin, journalist and author, and also former editor-in-chief at Hurriyet Daily News. And joining me in the studio also is Azam Tamimi, who's the chairman of Al-Hiwar Television and former head of the Institute of Islamic Political Thought, a think tank based in London. Gentlemen, thanks so much for coming into TRT World and joining us here on Straight Talk. Now, I want to start with you, Murat. You recently wrote a book with a very interesting name, The Book of Spies for the Curious.
That's right.
Tell us, what are these agents, intelligence agents, looking for exactly, and how do they operate?
In general, or are we talking about the recent?
Recently, let's say.
Yes. In the last few years, especially after the break of what is called as Arab Spring, the activities of espionage activities from the Middle East countries and groups, not only countries but non-state groups in Turkey is on rise. I think it's similar to the activities of some Balkan countries like Bulgaria or Romania acting on behalf of Soviet Union in the Cold War times. So then we were observing those activities here. Now more from Middle East, from Arab countries, not particularly only from Gulf countries. I think because of the atmosphere of this Arab Spring, and it's in wake of Arab Spring, and also because of Turkish involvement into those affairs, I think they became very active. And they have great interests here.
And very quickly, which countries are operating here in Turkey?
Mostly Gulf countries, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and North Africa, Egypt and Libya are more active than the other ones.
Azam Tamimi, I want to bring you in. You were a close friend of the late Jamal Khashoggi. You had lunch with him the day before he was killed, and he was supposed to be on your TV show the day he was killed. Tell us, do you feel safe?
Well, it's really difficult to know or to even answer this question directly, but if you're active in exposing despotism and corruption, you know that there is a price for this. And you have to be courageous enough not to be intimidated into silence. Because if we are intimidated into silence, that's the end of us, and that's victory for the tyrants. Generally, London is a safe place, and that's why many dissidents live in London. And in Jamal's case, I think the Saudis targeted him here in Turkey because they thought Turkey was a soft spot, and they could get away with it.
Very quickly, Murat, Turkey was a soft spot?
In the Khashoggi case, you said London is a safe place. You would know that. You're living in London. Turkey being a soft spot, yes, Turkey is considered by some intelligence organizations, state or non-state, as a rather soft spot because of security measures and because of geography. I mean, if you compare with United Kingdom, it's a huge island, and protection is more possible than if you consider our neighborhood and the porous borders and all that. It's in the nature of it.
Azam, I want to ask you, how safe are these dissidents abroad, and what do they go through, for example, security-wise? And we have the case now of the Saudi activist Iyad al-Baghdadi in Norway, who says that the Saudis have crosshairs on me.
I've spoken to a number of Saudi dissidents and UAE dissidents in London. And after Jamal Khashoggi, they don't feel really that comfortable. They think that the Saudis and the UAEs would go to any length to silence them. But generally speaking, the rulers of the Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates would be very careful not to anger the Americans or the British. And that's why probably they would think twice before they attempt anything.
And 6 months, more than 6 months since Jamal Khashoggi was killed here in Istanbul, we really, it looks like we don't have the answers. We don't know exactly what happened. His body hasn't been found. Do you think that Saudi Arabia has changed in any way their behavior, their impunity?
Saudi Arabia hasn't changed a bit after Jamal, despite having admitted killing him. And the reason for this is that they have the backing of Trump. And so long as they have the backing of Trump, they don't give a damn about anything, about international organizations, about Turkey, about public opinion. They just don't give a damn.
So we could see another killing like Jamal Khashoggi's anytime
I hope not, but I regret it. It's a possibility.
Murat, speak to me about the two camps. We have Turkey and we also have Saudi Arabia on the other side. Talk to me about these, the political dynamics here. Let's broaden this out.
Turkey and Saudi Arabia had very good relations up until a few years ago. That was when the new king came into power and when especially Mohammed bin Salman was appointed as crown prince who is to succeed him. Then things started to get sour and the relations starting from Syria first, from Syria civil war, because Turkey, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and the United States were four parties acting together in the first years of the civil war in Syria. But then after Mohammed bin Salman taken office or was in charge, everything has started to change. And when Trump got into power and appointed Jared Kushner as his man in the Middle East, Mohammed bin Salman and Jared Kushner started to act together. And now Saudi Arabia is acting together with Israel and his friends in the Middle East. So it's a very weird polarization in the Middle East, I would say. And we can make the distinction before and after Mohammed bin Salman.
And how do you see this, Hazam?
Well, I think the coming of King Salman to power could have launched a new era in Turkish-Saudi relations to the best. But the constant here is Mohammed bin Zayed of Abu Dhabi. It was Mohammed bin Zayed of Abu Dhabi who always hated the Turks and hated their role in the Middle East, who had enormous impact on Mohammed bin Salman and actually refashioned him and convinced him that if he wanted to be king in Saudi Arabia, he needed to do the following. So I think the mastermind behind all of this is Mohammed bin Zayed in Abu Dhabi and not Mohammed bin Salman.
Very interesting, because that name is really raised. Interesting. Now, just back to the US role. If they continue to shield Saudi Arabia in this way, well, let me phrase it a different way. Is it human business above human rights going forward? I put this to you, Hazam.
Well, in politics, it's always interests and business rather than human rights. Look at Western democracies. They only pay lip service to really human rights and democracy, only if it suits them. Why did they support the coup in Egypt? Why are they on excellent terms with the despots who crushed the Arab Spring? It's interests. It's arms manufacturers who need to continue to sell arms to these countries.
Gentlemen, it's been great to have you on Straight Talk. Thank you very much indeed. Azam Tamimi and Murat Yetkin, thank you for your thoughts.